Previously on the Seegers Family Edifice Venture, we showed the layout of the neighborhood drama and how it affected our project and tackled the sagging support beam to level out the kitchen floor.
Like a hellacious mayday pole.
We also picked up 3 brand new windows from the Habitat for Humanity Restore that measured 5 feet wide by 8 feet high at an unbelievable price of $750 for all 3. While putting smaller windows in the basement, we found an infestation of wood-munching termites. We then put house wrap over the area of the building that would be covered with cement fiber lap siding that we picked up for $2 a plank. And we continued the demo inside, wondering if drywall could be recycled. We found that it does have a reuse, and Penny visited VIM Recycling in Goshen, Indiana, and learned how the gypsum in drywall can be separated from the paper and then used as a valuable soil amendment in the farming industry. From the very beginning of our project, Penny and I have researched and planned how we were going to take an old building and turn it into our very own green, sustainable home.
But we soon found out that no matter how much we planned nor how much we researched, the unexpected is always just around the corner.
The unexpected many times is a good thing, but you will see in our case that the bad outweighed the good. So what do we do when things don't go as we planned?
We persevere. Instead of letting the obstacles stop us, we look for ways to overcome our dilemmas.
Obstacles don't stop people from achieving their goals. People choose to give up in the face of adversity and don't even try to overcome the obstacles before them.
Stay tuned and see how we overcome our obstacles and continue making progress on our project.
Think that was good?
Yeah, I don't think you left enough time at the end though before you went. You think that was good?
If you like our podcast, you'll love our website. Check it out at www.edificeventure.com.
Well, we got 4 kids, a cat, and a dog, and we're looking for an open space where we can stretch our legs and start a new life and build us a greener place. Our structure stood with no inner walls and a big hole in the roof. Now it's hard to build the American dream, and brother, this is living proof. Giant labor of love is falling down on County Road 1. But with TLC and nature's harmony, we can keep it from coming undone. Seegers Family Edifice Venture, a practical way to go green. Seegers Family Edifice Venture, something that you've never seen.
The Seegers Family Edifice Venture is sponsored in part by Habitat for Humanity of Elkhart County, building decent, affordable housing with people in need. WVPE 88.1, a NPR station. Inform, entertain, inspire. Anco Products Incorporated, our energy saves you energy. And Heritage Antique Lumber, crafting fine furniture, custom cabinetry, and trim using lumber from historic barns.
If you like our video series, you'll love our website. Check it out at www.edificeventure.com. See pictures, read blogs, find cool links, plus information and tips to help you get started on your own green, sustainable home improvement projects. An antique hanger. What I'm doing right now is I'm digging a trench alongside the footer of the building, and what I'm going to do is put flashing on the side that'll come foot up and foot down from the footer line. What that's going to do is keep a lot of the moisture from going back into the building, and that's going to solve our termite problem because termites need moisture to be able to dig into the wood. I'm nailing up the flashing right now to the side of the building. I'm nailing this in with is just a normal nail, but it's got a little rubber washer on the end of it, so when you pound it in, it seals that, it doesn't create another hole. Come on a second, something is bass-ackwards here. Let's take a closer look. Let's see. Weather barrier flashing. Weather barrier flashing. That's it, right there. The weather barrier should be on the outside of the flashing. The way I have it here won't stop water. It actually helps the water get in the house. As is, the water will run down the side of the house, in between the flashing and weather barrier, right into the Michigan-style basement, putting us back where we started. No worries though, it's an easy fix. I'll cut a piece of weather barrier long enough to run the length of the seam and tape it to the existing weather barrier so it hangs over the flashing. July 31st, 2007. We make final preparations to frame the greenhouse. This turned out to be some back-breaking work for all of us. It was like a sweatshop assembly line. Penny shoveled the remaining dirt, leaves, and shingles into the trash, and I lifted the bag out of the pit, and Ian would take them to the trailer. What really amazed me though was the superhuman strength Jory found when I made her a deal she couldn't refuse.
If you can drag it to the trailer, I'll buy Taco Bell.
Yep, we had Taco Bell for lunch that day. After lunch, I tackled the concrete stairs leading to the future greenhouse. While the stoop portion was not solid cement, the actual stairs were. Since I was only armed with a sledgehammer, the stairs would have to stay. We would just have to be very creative and think of a new way to include them in the plans. The bigger problem was a missing portion of the footer that would have to be added. August 1st, 2007. My friend Tony took a few days of leave to help us. We started the day off with putting up the first bit of cement fiberboard siding. Before we could put the siding up, we had to trim out the windows and corners of the building. We decided to use composite deck boards that we ripped into two pieces. Oh yeah, a bit of advice for those that help.
Wow, a lot of trouble with your hammer.
Don't stand below me. I tend to drop things. We use composite deck boards because of its green value. It's made of sawdust mixed with polymer and is very durable. Plus it can be painted with an oil-based paint to match the siding. Just like everything we have done to this point, putting up the cement fiber siding had a learning curve. First we had trouble with our measurements.
I got a big gap here. Okay, how big? Talk about order of an inch. Hey, push these all the way down. Wow. I want to recut this.
Then we couldn't seem to get the settings right on the nail gun. I was either shooting the nails through the siding or leaving an inch sticking out. Just when we started getting the hang of things, Tony had to return to the recruiting station. When duty calls, you have to go. While Tony was attending to Army business, we turned our attention to the missing footer segment. Besides, we needed to pour the footer and let it cure before framing out the greenhouse. After putting our plywood pieces in place for the form, we cut two boards to be used as braces for the inner form. The last thing I wanted was a blowout of cement into the greenhouse. At this point, I had enough of removing unneeded concrete. After the form was set, we mixed the cement and started to fill it up. About a fourth of the way full, I noticed we forgot to drill holes into the current footer sides. This must be done to place rebar in the holes. The rebar connects the current footer into the new footer. Without doing this, the new footer will separate from the old footer over time, causing problems. While Ian drilled the holes in the footer, I attempted to cut the rebar. After trying several minutes with no success, I realized why I wasn't making any progress.
Wood cutting.
With the blade correction, the rebar was cut and the forms were filled. The next day we removed the forms and the footer was now complete. August 2nd, 2007. The greenhouse really started coming together. It was just one of those days where everyone seemed to move and work together as if we had been working construction together for years. Ian moved lumber into place, Tony made sure our measurements were accurate, I made the cuts, and in no time at all, the east wall was complete. Yes, the teamwork was clicking as Jory, Tony, Ian, and I pulled together and moved the first wall into place. We made sure it was plumb to the building and nailed it in. The second wall went up just as easy, and at the end of the day we were even able to put up the rafters to boot. Yes, this day proved productive, and we were now ahead of schedule. August 3rd, 2007. Day 2 of working on the greenhouse was just as productive as Day 1. Ian and I got another early start. Our mission was to have the roof decking completed by 3:30 p.m. That was the time when we expected the rest of the crew to arrive for the part of the project we anticipated the most. Ian and I finished most of the decking, and 3:30 arrived along with family and friends to help put the windows in. These were the windows we picked up at the Elkhart County Habitat for Humanity Restore. They measured 5 feet wide and 8 feet high. All three together formed a glass wall we wanted for the greenhouse. After the windows were installed, we put in the double hinge patio doors. Our plan was then to secure the greenhouse by putting enough plank sheathing up to keep unwanted intruders out, and then we would call it a day. But a neighbor tipped us off that the weather report was calling for rain early the next morning. This was not a good thing since the roof was not completely covered. So we broke out the lights and burned a little midnight oil. We finished the roof decking and put felt down to keep the water out. With the additional push to decrease the possible water saturation, we jumped ahead of schedule even more. We were really feeling good about the project at this point. Stay tuned to the Seegers Family Edifice venture. These warm fuzzies would soon turn into cold pricklies, and we'll tell you why.
Since the early 1960s, Texture-Fine insulation has been an environmentally friendly product. Our unique process diverts millions of pounds of fiberglass scrap from landfills each year. Today, high-quality standards have made Anco Products a world-class industry leader in high-tensile strength, resilient insulation products.
Anco products include laminated metal building insulation,
insulated flexible duct system,
and indoor air quality, GreenGuard certified Texture-Fine insulation.
Green isn't a new initiative. We started in the 60s.
Anco Products, our energy saves you energy.
Heritage Antique Lumber is a small, family-run business.
We reclaim lumber and we turn it into something you can be proud of and you will be happy with.
The uniqueness of our cabinetry is one of a kind.
Heritage Antique Lumber makes furniture, crafts, mirrors, frames, and more using reclaimed barn wood.
We at Heritage Antique Lumber consider ourselves more than just craftsmen. We are also artists.
Visit our website and see our quality, heritageantiquelumber.com.
Welcome back to the Seegers Family Edifice venture. We left off on August 3rd, 2007, the second day that we were working on the greenhouse, and we were ahead of schedule, or so we thought. On August 7th, 2007, Tony, Ian, and myself pulled out all the equipment we needed to finish the siding on the south side of the building. We put up one piece of corner trim when someone from the Elkhart County zoning office pulled up and asked where our building permits were.
You can imagine our surprise since we had previously checked about building permits and were told we didn't need any as long as we weren't changing the appearance of the building.
According to the lady from the county, she said someone called in and complained that we were working without building permits. With a quick look at our project, she said we would probably only need a remodeling permit and could get one that very day and be back to work. So off to the county zoning office we went, but things didn't go as we expected. Due to a technicality, we did need a building permit.
Originally, we were told we didn't need a permit since the greenhouse was being built on the existing foundation of the building. We weren't building something new, we were replacing something that was previously part of the building. But here's the catch. The bit of the structure that we were replacing was torn down before we owned the building. Since it was not there when we bought the building, legally it never existed. It would have been a totally different story if we had torn the structure down ourselves.
So we had to get a building permit that was classified new construction in line with current, but getting the actual permit was a little more work. Since we planned to live in the building, we had to get an additional permit from the Elkhart County Health Department for a septic system before we got our building permit. That meant we would be stopped until someone could come out and do a soil boring, blueprints drawn up for the septic system, and the paperwork filed.
We were no longer ahead of schedule.
But this didn't stop our progress. It only redirected our efforts until we got our building permits. August 10th, 2007. We continued to put up siding, and yes, I communicated this with the county. I was told anything that was built wrong would have to be tore down and rebuilt. I understood this and felt it would be better to finish as much siding as we could. We already experienced what storms can do to unfinished construction. I really didn't want to see house wrap blowing around the yard like roofing felt earlier in our project. Installing cement fiberboard is fairly easy. To start, we cut a 2-inch strip from scrap siding. This would be our starter strip, in which the first complete piece of siding overlaps by 1 inch. Every additional piece of siding also overlaps the one beneath by 1 inch. Repeat all steps until finished. Even though the process seems easy, we again had trouble with the nail gun. We were having trouble finding the correct setting to sink the nails flush with the siding. With late afternoon fast approaching and the progress slow, we decided to call it an early day. Plus, I wanted to go to the Home Improvement Center and look for something better to nail the siding up with. August 11, 2007. The siding went up fast with my new cool tool, a palm nail gun that gave me total control of how deep the nails went in. I really liked it because it sounded like a machine gun. It gave me the feeling of being back on a range at Fort Benning, Georgia. Another tip when putting cement fiber siding up. You need to put a bead of vinyl caulk in all the gaps. This helps to ensure water doesn't get in. We put up as much siding as we could and the building was starting to take on a new look. It actually had some curb appeal for those driving by to see. Stay tuned to the Seegers Family Edifice Venture. Matt Bottoms from the Elkhart County Health Department does the soil pouring and tells us what he's looking for and why.
Habitat for Humanity of Elkhart County does more than build houses for those in need. They provide education on personal finance, homeownership, parenting, and other life skills to help those moving into these houses turn them into homes. Habitat for Humanity of Elkhart County, working with people from all walks of life to build simple, decent, affordable homes. For more information on how you can help, visit www.habitatec.com.
88.1 WVPE Public Radio is a vital communication resource that strives to inform, entertain, and inspire. National Public Radio is an internationally acclaimed producer and distributor of non-commercial news, talk, and entertainment programming. WVPE serves local listeners with a distinctive blend of national and local programming and annual events. In 2008, WVPE launched a sustainability initiative which includes green events and programs. Learn more at WVPE.org.
August 13th, 2007. Before we could get our building permit, we had to get a septic permit from the Elkhart County Health Department. And before we get a septic permit, we had to have a ground boring to test the soil. But what are they looking for when a ground boring is conducted?
We're looking for soil texture, whether it's sandy or clay, how much absorption area is going to be required. The heavier the soil is, the more area you need because the water soaks in slower. And we also are looking at the soil colors to determine where the seasonal high water table is, whether we can put a system in the ground, and if so, how deep can we go, or is it going to have to be an above ground mound system. The evidence of seasonal high water table is modeling, which is orange spots and gray spots in the soil next to each other. And the gray spots are where water has dissolved the iron off of the soil particles and left the gray soil behind, and then when the water table recedes, it leaves the iron in deposits in spots. So you get those two colors next to each other, and that's the indicator of the water table.
So what's the difference between a conventional septic and a mound system, besides one is below the ground and the other is above, in which a large amount of dirt has to be brought in to bury it? Well, to me, the price is the biggest difference. So would we save money with a conventional system or pay out the nose for a mound system? Surveyor says
you're going to have a conventional system, trenches in the ground.
Thank goodness. September 19th, 2007. While waiting for approval from the health department for our septic permit, which we needed to get our building permit, we accepted a generous offer from Ken Will, the owner of VIM Recycling, to take down 9 trees on the property. If you recall from a previous episode, the neighbor's power lines run through the middle of our property. For safety reasons, the power lines had to be disconnected and taken down. While taking our generator over to the neighbors to borrow while their power was down, they asked if a tree that was an obstacle on their drive could be removed. Since we were causing them an inconvenience with the removal of our trees, I agreed to ask. Ken Will extended his offer to include their trees. One of the main things we wanted to achieve with the tree removal was no wood waste. We were able to do this with 3 different uses of the trees. The majority of the trees were walnut, black oak, and white oak. The logs from these trees were sold to Lakeside Lumber, who would mill the logs down into wood to be used in furniture. The non-millable logs would be cut and split into firewood. Everything else would be put into a dumpster and taken to VIM Recycling, where it would be turned into mulch. The crew taking down the trees were amazing to watch. To them, it was probably just another day on the job. For us, it was intriguing and amazing to watch these individuals use modern machines and old logging techniques to clear our property of 9 unwanted trees in only one day. They made the job look effortless. After the trees came down, the power lines were put back up, and the remains of some very large trees were put into the dumpster. All that was left was a large pile of logs waiting for me to cut up into firewood. We once thought the tree removal would be a fairly large expense to our project, but with the generosity of a local wood recycler, the trees were removed at no cost. The money made from the logs would be used to move the neighbor's gas meter and help pay for needed materials in our project. Stay tuned to the Seegers Family Edifice Venture. When we return, Penny visits VIM Wood Recycling to see how wood waste is made into mulch and animal bedding.
While watching the remains of our trees being loaded into dumpsters and hauled away, Warren and I wondered how wood waste is actually made into mulch. Over a 2-day period, I visited VIM Wood Recycling to find the answer to our question. Mr. Holt tells us how the whole process of mulchifying wood begins.
Well, basically what happens is this is the material, and we grind this level out at the job site, and we put it into dump trucks, and then we bring it out here where it's processed. This machine you're seeing right here is what they call a tub grinder. And this is what grinds it down to the consistency that you see in the bags of mulch and then in the mulch that you put in your yard.
The mulch that comes out of the tub grinder is called the secondary grind. The secondary grind is the mulch that is dyed to the colors commonly seen in the garden stores.
Basically what we do is we use a big front end loader and we take it from this pile here, which is our secondary grind, and we dump it into this hopper. This hopper feeds into a tub which has got a water-soluble, environmental-friendly dye. That dye is either a red, a gold, a chocolate, dark brown, light brown. We can pretty much make almost any color. And it basically is put through there and it's soaked, and then it goes through the conveyor belt and then comes out at the other end. And then at the other end, another payloader moves it to one of our finished good piles.
Mr. Holt also showed me where our trees ended up and explained the importance of recycling them.
The trees that we took off of your site were brought here, and they were put in a pile such as this. And this is where we take the stumps, the limbs, municipalities bring trees, residents bring trees, and this is a place where things can come and we basically recycle it into something, better, useful, and more for the earth.
So what happens if you guys weren't here and people had a need to drop off their trees and things like this? Where would it go?
That's the interesting problem, because the landfills doesn't accept this material. It would probably have to be burnt on site. In large construction sites, they actually dig a hole and bury it.
So why isn't burying the brush a viable way of disposing of the leftover wood?
When you bury something, it's an organic material that's going to decompose over time. Well, as it decomposes, it goes away, basically creating a sinkhole, or if you put your house or your foundation or something like that, some reason why you've cleared the land, you end up having structural problems. All over there are road companies that have basically ground stumps below the surface thinking that was okay, and ultimately they've ended up having major road problems because they didn't clear the land properly.
According to Holt, trees and brush are not the only type or form of wood that can be recycled.
The other type of product we take in are old skids, dimensional lumber, clean kiln-dried wood that you might find at a construction site or laying around your industrial area. And we grind that up also. And this makes a great mulch product when it's actually back down to the consistency, because it's dry and it accepts the colorant really well. And again, we're not putting it into the landfill.
Dyeing mulch is not the only way to give it color. Mr. Holt tells me how mulch can also be colored naturally.
This is our Age Natural product. And this product is special to us because of our process. We basically take the mulch and we stockpile it over here and we turn it. and we put water on it constantly, which causes the mulch to kind of break down and decompose, and that's what gives it the black color. Some people process this material by mixing it with a animal manure or something which creates the same process and accelerates it, but we believe that this is better for the environment.
VIM Recycling has many quality products that are made from wood wastes. Products like Screen General Blend Animal Bedding, Special Dairy Blend Bedding, and Arena Bedding, all of which are beneficial to the agricultural industry. Stay tuned to the Seegers Family Edifice Venture. Warren will have a sneak peek of the next episode.
The Seegers Family Edifice Venture is sponsored in part by Habitat for Humanity of Elkhart County, building decent affordable housing with people in need. WVPE 88.1, a NPR station. Inform, entertain, inspire. Anco Products Incorporated, our energy saves you energy. And Heritage Antique Lumber, crafting fine furniture, custom cabinetry, and trim using lumber from historic barns.
If you like our video series, you'll love our website. Check it out at www.edificeventure.com. See pictures, read blogs, find cool links, plus information and tips to help you get started on your own green, sustainable home improvement projects. Next time on the Seegers Family Edifice Venture, while waiting for our building permit, we take on a pile of trees and reduce them to firewood. We find out that a septic permit is not the only permit we needed before getting our building permit. Then after getting our long-awaited building permit, we push forward by putting in a septic tank, somewhat symbolic to the weeks of crap we had to deal with. And we get our first inspection on our construction.